This is a haskap. It's a plant that grows in northern regions, and it's hardy down to zone 2. It's originally from Siberia and northern Japan, but there's been a number of breeding programs that have made them more mainstream. So not a lot of people know about haskaps, sometimes called honeyberries, but they are from the honeysuckle family. It does produce a berry. It's similar to a blueberry. It is kind of a cross between a blueberry and a raspberry, at least flavor-wise. It gets the blueberry flavor, but it also has the acidity of raspberries. And if you like blueberries, but don't like growing them because of the soil conditions, haskaps might be a better option. They're not fussy about where they grow. You can grow them pretty much in any soil, and they will generally thrive. They take a little bit of time to get established, usually about 5 years before they become their full height. This bush here is on its 3rd year. Once they're full grown at 5 years, they'll produce about 10 pounds of berries, 5 kilos of berries per bush. The sweetness and the flavor, we'll talk about sweetness. I've got my trusty Brix meter here. We'll check that in a moment. But they are a hardy plant. They're pest resistant. Caterpillars don't seem to like them. They're actually a pretty easy plant to grow. I haven't had many problems with them. Again, birds do like the berries, but that's typical of any plant. But it's the ability to grow them without special soil conditions that makes it a good plant for gardens. And it's also super hardy. Again, you can grow them in Alaska and they'll do fine. I have 3 different varieties here, all from the University of Saskatchewan. This is a Blizzard, I believe. The other ones are Beauty and a Honeybee. Now, Blizzard and Beauty are pollination partners, and then there's another one, because haskaps aren't self-fertile, so you do need a pollination partner, and haskaps have a very wide bloom period, so you have early varieties, and these are later varieties, so in my area they tend to produce fruit in the middle of June like they are now. Honeybee is a variety that's supposed to be a good pollinator. I only have one at the moment. The berries are perfectly fine. They actually taste quite good. But it's called a pollination variety because if you're running a full orchard or have a farm of haskaps, it's a good variety because the berries don't drop off the plant. They hang on the plant for much longer. And they can often decoy birds if you plant them along the edge. The fruit has seeds in them, but when you're eating them, you can't tell that there are seeds in them. The skin is a little bit thicker than a blueberry, and it offers a chewiness that's quite pleasant. It's not something that people would be off-put by. The berries do get soft, depending on if you're just growing them for home, that's perfectly fine. But if you plan to sell them commercially, there are certain varieties that have a more robust berry that handles packaging and shipping better. Haskaps are mostly maintenance free. The first few years you do need to water them. They do have a shallow root system, and wood chips are a great addition to cover them up. But after that, they typically only need pruning every 5 to 8 years. So let's go answer the question, how sweet are haskaps? So of the 3 varieties we have Honeybee, and this would be Beauty, and Blizzard. So when you cut them open, they tend to have like a green gelatinous center with seeds, but again, you don't actually taste the seeds. And the outside, the skin has a lot of color to it. And they can stain your hands, hence the gloves. But they don't stain any more than a blueberry. So if you take the seeds out, you can actually save them. But if we were to do the honeybee, it's here. It's pretty simple to test the Brix, which is just a sugar concentration measurement. I simply cut them open, try to get some juice. Again, it doesn't need a lot, but you want to try to get the plate covered and not have too much sediment on it. clean it off, and then just point it into a light. And this one is reading 12 bricks. Helps to have a little water to clean it off. And then dry it. We'll attempt the beauty one. Again, try to pick the ripest berry you can find. And you can usually just squeeze these. I'm just using a penknife because it's touch easier. And again, you want to coat the whole surface without having any pulp. So you want to get basically the whole thing. Again, if there's a little bit, if there's an air bubble or a few air bubbles, it's not too bad. Now that one's reading 10.5, so I'm going to try another one. I measured some earlier, and they tended to be a touch sweeter. But sometimes we might have harvested them a bit early, so it's hard to tell. Again, that one came in at 12.5. Other than the order I have these in, I know which way I put them. One way you can tell Blizzard, it has the narrower surfboard ends, and Beauty tends to be a rounder berry. Nope, and this one's still 11. So these berries may have been picked a tad bit early because they're just coming in a little bit lower than expected. Again, I had one last week that was 15.5, so I thought it was about time to harvest them. And that's generally how you determine whether they're ready for harvest or not, is you check the bricks until it gets to a level where you think, or you can see that they're quite sweet. Now we also had a lot of rain last night, or the last couple of days. These berries may have swollen with water, and that could be reducing the level of sugar within them. Often it's heavy rains cause a reduction in the sweetness. So that could be a possibility as well. This one is Boreal Blizzard. And again, it's sitting around 10. So they're not as sweet as I thought they would be. I suspect they are sweeter. Again, I've had some that are quite sweet. I think it's a combination of being picked too early or slightly too early, but I had to get them before the birds got them. And also this idea that the heavy rains over the last 3 days probably reduced the sugar concentration. But if you compare this to a grape, so your standard table grape has a Brix of 18 to 22%. So even coming in at 12 to 14, these are still reasonably sweet. The acid's a little bit higher in these, so they come across as more tart. But you could easily push these, if you pick them at the perfect time, without heavy rains. Get them into the 15 to 16, possibly even 18, which is table grape level. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Feel free to subscribe if you're interested.